Good day, everybody. This is our next radio we're going to work on. This is a Sears Silvertone, made in the late 40s and early 50s. It's got its cord cut off, as you can see, so it may have been sold at a thrift shop or something, but it's in reasonably good condition. Just looking at the case, there's a few spots here and there, but it's not bad. It's certainly not bad enough that I don't think we're going to entertain trying to repaint it. We may try and just clean it really good and then touch it up a little bit. So let's see what's inside. So we're going to pop off the knobs here, and it's got all its chassis screws. I love that. So we'll take those out, and I think we can just lift straight up, and the cabinet will just come straight off. There we go. Pretty clean inside. They produced this ivory colored. They also produced one that was unpainted, which is just kind of brown. That had a couple stickers on the inside. One was a schematic. Speaker looks to be okay. Not rubbing or anything, so that's good news. Underneath, looks original. At first glance, I thought maybe that electrolytic multi-section capacitor was replacement, but I don't think so. I think it's all original. It's good. Always cover your speaker, because otherwise you're going to put something through. You're going to put something right through the speaker every time. So for a power cord, as luck would have it, this was an extension cord that we were using for something in the garage, and it didn't get put away completely. I think it got run over by a car. Anyway, so that's, I'm showing you there, was the female end of the extension cord. So we're just going to cut that off and use that for our little radio here. It's perfect. So now we're going to remove the old existing, what's left of the existing power cord. So I've got my solder wick or solder braid, whatever you call it. We're going to take the solder off the connection for this one here and for the other side of the power cord on the switch side, and then get our new power cord installed. And here's getting the solder off on the old power cord on the switch side. Okay, so now we're just going to solder in the new power cord's been run in, and we're just going to solder that up. Okay, with the old power cord cut out and this new one in, it really may be too early, but I just got to know if in this condition, does this radio actually work? Does anything work? So I'm going to plug it into my RCA isotap 2, and we're going to step up the voltage just a little bit, and like I said, I'll do it where I can see this in case there's any smoke and fire. We can turn it off. So here goes nothing. Let's start off really low voltage. I didn't show it because there wasn't anything to show, but I did pull all the tubes and test them. They all tested good, so always kind of amazes me that most of the time tubes are, not the problem. Okay, I don't, let's go up another step. That's 50 volts. Let me look underneath here for... I don't see any filaments yet. $75 volts. Aha! Hear that? All right. Okay. Well, that tells us where to start. So this is the electrolytic, and so that'll be next on the agenda to replace that. I constantly keep trying to find a place where I can use this. These values don't really match up very well with this. This is 30, 60, 20. This is 33, 33, 47. So, but the problem is, this is about as big around as this, but the problem is too long, and it's not going to fit in there. So I'll go through my capacitors and get some discrete components out, and we'll clip that out and put the new ones in. Okay, so there's my components that I'm going to use to replace this guy right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip this guy out, and we'll put these guys in their place, and hopefully they'll fit down in this little, somehow in this little clip here that's holding this guy in, so they're sort of they're not floating around and underneath here. They're kind of secured a little bit. So let me do that, and then we'll be right back. Alright, so I took this little beastie out, and the codes for the colors for the different segments were on the back, so when I got them out I could see, but it didn't make any difference because all those wires are black anyway. So we took some time to figure out where everything went. So now I've got a little, before I solder these in, I wanted to make sure this works, so we've got a little alligator clip from hell, I guess you could say, and I think I've got everything in the right spot, so let's give it a go. This is going to be 75 volts. Here we go. I'll step back a little bit to make sure in case something pops. There's no hum. How about that? Turn all the way down. No hum whatsoever.
19 GOP senators heading to the Rio Grande Valley tonight.
Bradley Savoy spraying one of the victims several times before the victim picked up a stick to defend themselves.
Well,
Savoy was arrested for assault with
that's amazing that worked, because I haven't changed any of these other paper caps, and some of them have stuff oozing out the backside, so not bad. So we're going to find a way to get all those soldered in and safely secured in here, and then we're going to start going through the other paper caps. Yeah, how about that? And once I got them all in, this was kind of the final result. So I won't show you the cap replacement because it's kind of boring. But if you're new to the hobby, I'll just tell you what I do. What I'll do is cut out the old capacitor. Then I'll take a very small screwdriver, and the new capacitor I'm going to put in, I will coil the lead around that to make a little pigtail or whatever you want to call it. And then we'll slip that on to the existing wire that was left behind when we clipped out the old capacitor. And then you can kind of trim up any flying leads that are around, that sort of thing. And then solder it in place. And that's what I'm going to do for all the paper caps in this radio. So all the capacitors have been replaced, and one resistor was out of tolerance. Here's all the dead soldier stuff over here. So let's give this, now let's turn it on and give it a test here. Make sure we haven't screwed anything up. I did renew, incidentally. Okay. All right.
Right off the bat, attorney Robert Rode knows the insurance company's tricks, and his team prepares packages and presents your claim to get the settlement you deserve.
Sounds
Call
good.
Rode Law Firm today.
Henry Cloud, Jill Hubbard, Dave Stoops, Sherry Keffer, Mylan Yurkovich, and myself for New Life Live. Sí, bueno, por si tú eres calentón, bring it. Sample first. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the ad company.
Okay. So that means there's a little tiny bit of noise in there. It's not bad. This is the station that I like to, when I'm doing an alignment, I like to use because it's about, I don't know, 50 miles away, maybe a little more. So if I was doing a proper alignment, I would do it by, the instructions on the SAMs. But I'm just going to do, I like this station because it's just weak enough. I can always get it, but it's just weak enough that it's a good one to try and peak. So that's what I'm going to do. Whoa.
Chavez murder trial in Minneapolis started with testimony from the police sergeant who secured the scene after George Floyd's death during his arrest last May. Police testimony is due to continue into next week. Christians around the world celebrate Good Friday, the second year now during a pandemic. In Jerusalem, hundreds of Christians retraced what are held as Jesus' final steps before his crucifixion. Among the crowd, Alejandro Gonzalez.
Precisely because of the situation we're going through, we have to pray for those who can't be here.
Last Good Friday, Jerusalem was under a strict coronavirus lockdown, but the rules are being relaxed after a rapid rollout
The next
of vaccines. That's not the case
A3,
in
which is
many
the one near the front.
Christian countries, prompting the Vatican to
A4.
stop the Pope's traditional Way of the Cross procession in a nearly empty St. Peter's Square. Fox's Simon Owen in London. The Biden administration and Iran's government agreed to indirect talks with other nations who signed the Iran nuclear deal in 2015, aimed at getting it back on track. Former President Trump pulled out of the treaty in 2018, and Iran has been violating it ever since.
If I can get to that one.
America's listening to Fox News. If you have an unpaid tax debt to the IRS,
I think that's about right.
please hear this special notice. Specially approved IRS relief programs designed to aid delinquent taxpayers are now in
One restaurant owner says thanks to the receipt wall, they provided more than 600 prepaid meals. The United States
Okay.
Iran said they will begin
Let's turn our attention now to getting this to look good and the case, and then we're done. So the knobs are going to get the sort of standard treatment from me. That's just a little Gojo and a toothbrush, and do a little scrubbing under some warm water. It's kind of amazing how much stuff will clean up just using that alone. There's the volume knob. Looks pretty decent. And this is the tuning dial knob. It was a bit dirty. Cleans up very nicely. Has a little paint loss, which we're going to have to address. There you go. the cabinet's going to get the same treatment. I didn't remove those stickers or decals. I guess they're on the inside, and I didn't remove the grill cloth. So I'm going to be just a little careful to make sure I don't get too much dampness all over the case. We'll just go slow, and we should be okay. So that's the knobs in the cabinet cleaned up a little bit with Gojo. It may not show very well on the camera, but it did clean up pretty nicely. I'm not gonna, I suppose that to be a perfect restoration, you'd have to strip this and repaint it, because it does have some wear marks on it after all these years. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna do a little touch-up work. And this kind of ivory color, I have a little, from another job in the house, a little touch-up paint, and that looks white, but it's actually an off-white. It's not really very ivory, but it is an off-white. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around this cabinet, and you see little spots like that. I can get it in the camera and see what's going on. I seem to be having trouble. Well, I may have to come back. It may have to dry, and I'll come back and do it again. But little spots like that around the cabinet. Yeah, you can really see the difference in color. Think about that. Maybe that's not going to work so well. So I'll let that dry and see what it looks like. But that's the method I'm going to try and use, just fixing all the little places on here. You can see spots where there's no paint. And I'm going to try and fix them up using just a little tiny touch of that. And the last thing I'm going to do for this cabinet, I took it outdoors, and I got out my car care products, and I'm going to put on a product that should give me a nice, clean, shiny surface, and we'll call that done. Of course, as you know, any job done outdoors has to be supervised, and my supervisor today is Roscoe the Wonder Dog, so he's a good boy. And the last thing I'm going to do before I put this together is try to get some color down where these numbers are. A little bit came off when I cleaned it, but most of them were kind of weak anyway. And I don't know if it'll show on camera, but these little dots were all brown except for these two, which were red. So one of these could be civil defense frequency, but I think the civil defense frequencies were on there was one spot on the low part of the band and one spot on the higher part. But that's the way it was, so that's the way I'm going to try and fill it in. And I don't know if these will work. This is an experiment. I bought these crayon little paint sticks, paint brushes, so fine tipped. So I'm going to try and use that and see if I can't. We'll make it look like new, but just to see if we can kind of bring this dial back up a little bit. final result, I think, it's not bad. It's okay. It'll do. Okay. Well, we're all back together again. The radio looks pretty good. It's not perfect. It's showing a few little scars of its time together. This, of course, is a Sears Roebuck model 9001, built from 1949 to 1953.
Delivered with Yale Cleaners Plus. Hi, I'm John Rothrock. Yale Cleaners has partnered with Rody to bring you same-day on-demand delivery for your dry cleaning. Bring your clothes to any Yale Cleaners today by noon and schedule same-day. Correspondent at the Hill, their book called Lucky.
It's terrible,
Okay, don't want to copyright.
So how does this manifest? It manifests. Es mucho mejor que arriesgar tu vida tratando de ganarle el paso. Por algo existe el dicho, más vale tarde que nunca.
Well, this one's probably going to go to my showcase that I have here locally at an antique mall to sell. This kind of size sells pretty quick if the radio works. And we're going to be on to, we pushed through this one pretty fast, but we're going to be on to some other radios that might be 2 or 3 parters. It's going to take a lot longer to do than this one. So, as always, respectful comments and constructive comments are always welcome. So, as I always say, thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next radio.